up close, catch a search girl at your front door with a door. Knock, knock, who's there's how it won't go. Keep the jungle, so have the utmost for the nutsos, and we nutso. Bro, that's where I'm from, bro. We grow up fast, we slow, we fast, she throw up. Dreadlock, ain't down like you don't know. Put the in the bag like a lawnmower. Hair trigger, pull back like a cornrow. Extra in the stash like a console. Listening to Bono, you listen to Dono.
Well, there you go, Lil Wayne, the Genesis halftime show. That's what we're going to be looking at in a few moments when we bring our special guest today, Chip Dorman, coming on to join us. Welcome, folks. You're tuned in live to AutoConverse. This is the AutoConverse On Air live weekly broadcast. Today is Wednesday, October 31st, and I am Ryan Girardi. Happy Halloween to everybody. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. And if you're tuned in to the podcast, then welcome, podcast listeners. It's great to have everybody here on this fabulous fall Wednesday, enjoying the spirit of Halloween as we get started for today. I just had a great long extended weekend with my father and stepmother who came in from New York and got to spend some time with them. So lots going on today. In a few minutes, we're going to bring Chip Dorman on, like I said. Chip is from Torque Analytics. His background is in marketing, auto retail, and he formed Torque to give dealers an affordable and reliable resource for managing their digital advertising and safeguarding their data, which we know is of growing importance these days. Well, Chip and I will be having a deeper discussion about that video you just saw, more specifically about Genesis's alignment with Lil Wayne for the Genesis halftime show on ESPN Monday Night Football. Got a few Halloween fun facts to share with everybody as well. In the news today, we're going to look briefly at AutoNation investing into Vroom, and Group PSA debuts in Washington, D.C. So first, before we get started, let's look at today's sponsor, Flick Fusion. And I should mention, if you are watching this on our YouTube channel, there is a link in the online chat that will bring you to the AutoConverse On Air watch page. So you're welcome to continue watching on the YouTube channel, but there's a link there to the watch page. You can go to autoconversion.net, and there is a menu item that says watch, and there is an option for the AutoConverse On Air watch page. And there you can interact with other viewers at the same time as well. And I'll be sure to check in on there in just a moment. We did just send out our text message to all of our SMS opt-in subscribers. If you would like this show and select videos and content that we produce, if you want that shipped directly to your phone via SMS, then go ahead and send a text message right now to the keyword AutoConverse to 64600, and that will ship right off to you. What I'd like to do is, and thank you for those that are tuned in, or I should say opted in. We have over 130 SMS opt-in subscribers, which is more people than we have subscribed to our YouTube channel. And speaking of YouTube, definitely go to autoconversion.net, click on that YouTube icon, and subscribe to the channel, because then you'll be notified when we schedule a new live stream and when we go live, like today. And same deal. It could be our weekly show on air. It could be one of our many masterminds that we do that we launched last month, and you'll be notified. And you don't have to attend. You'll always be able to catch the video replay on our YouTube channel. And then, like everything, we record it. Speaking of recording, okay, just making sure I'm recording. We record it. We release it onto the AutoConverse podcast. So you can go to autoconverse.com/podcast. There's a link right there to the podcast. And you can see there, we just published yesterday customer loyalty inside the dealership and in the community. That features Kathy Nesbitt and Terry Lancaster. Nice discussion around what Kathy does at her dealership and within the community to build really just community awareness for her dealership. And the day before that, great podcast with me and Mr. Mike Phillips, fellow podcaster, video blogger. If you are looking into getting into live streaming and podcasting, or you are, definitely want to catch that podcast because Mike and I get into the differences in platforms, Facebook, YouTube, streaming software, all that good stuff. You definitely want to check that out. So real quick, today's sponsor, Flick Fusion, been partnered with us for most of 2018. We appreciate their support and sponsorship to help bring content like this and other great content to you. And what I'd like you to do is head on over to autoconverse.com/Flick. If you are serious or want to get serious about video marketing in auto retail. What you'll see here is a 2-minute, 3-minute preview of my conversation with Tim a couple of months ago. But even better is you can enter your information, and that will give you access to this video marketing introductory series for auto retailers. And look what's in here. We get into why you may or may not want to get into video at your dealership. There's 3 parts, part A, B, and C. So to video or to not to video. In part B, we have the different types of videos you can do. That's extended because there are many types. There's a really nice one in there with Mr. El Patron and Bowtie Terrence about personality videos, self-branding. Part C gets into equipment and lighting and editing software. And then part D, this is real, it gets real techie, real geeky here. We get into hosting, distribution, how the host controls that experience, how the data works within there. So go to autoconverse.com/Flick, enter your information, and you will automatically be granted access to this extensive series of video marketing training. Okay, so AutoNation just came out, I think about a day or two ago, is investing $50 million into Vroom, which has been one of the leading online car sales platforms to crop up over the past few years, kind of along the lines of Carvana and Shift. And with that investment, AutoNation will have about a 7% ownership in Vroom. Mike Jackson says, we're excited about our investment, naturally, the potential collaboration between companies. With this investment, AutoNation remains uniquely positioned to lead the industry towards the future of the consumer buying experience. And this is right on the heels of Lithia investing a $54 million into Shift, which we mentioned not too long ago. So what does this say? This tells you that the big guys know where it's at. These partnerships are forming, and it's like big box consumerism coming, really kind of solidifying. So pretty big news there. I thought I'd mention that, and I'll ask Chip his thoughts of that in a moment. Also in the news, PSA, Peugeot, French group. Peugeot is a car maker that many of us in today's day and age might have forgotten about or never even heard of, but Peugeot is a French car maker. And they wanted to get back in the U.S. markets. I think they left the U.S. markets in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. And we covered this a month or two ago. PSA has designed an app called Free to Move. And the whole idea of Free to Move is to put mobility into your transportation needs and your mobility needs into your fingertips. So it integrates with all the different mobility services that are growing and evolving. Uber, Lyft is ride sharing. Hire a Car, who just did a round of investments a couple of weeks ago and exceeded expectations, just brought on a new COO, and they're car sharing. So you have ride sharing, you have car sharing. The whole idea of car sharing is I own a car, it's sitting in the parking lot while I'm at work, so I might as well let somebody take that car and provide, Lyft or Uber services for ride sharing, and then I get a piece. So I can, with Hire Car, you can get paid to let people use your car while you're sitting at work. So think about that. Good stuff. I should probably look into that. But point is, PSA is debuting in the US in the DC area. As I mentioned, Free to Move provides a variety of mobility services in over 12 countries. That includes cars, scooters, bikes, and you name it. And they want to be an aggregator for urban mobility. So now DC users will be able to tap into that and other services like that. I'm going to pause. It says my connection is unstable. Here's what I'd love to do. Chip, you're in the wings. Love to maybe bring you on. Give you a second here to turn your video and your microphone on.
I'm here.
There he is. Hey, what's going on? You made it.
Good morning. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. I forgot to.
I don't have a cool hat like you do.
I wore this all last night. As I mentioned, my dad and stepmom were in town, and we played darts last night and got a little festive. So figured I'd do something a little bit fun. So happy Halloween to you. And for folks listening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chip Dorman.
Yay.
Welcome to the program. Thank you. We've been talking the past few weeks, and we're going to get Chip involved with some mastermind sessions. So, but here we are. Chip, so I mentioned AutoNation investing into Vroom. Lithia a couple months ago invest about the same amount into Shift. You're an industry veteran, opinionated guy. Definitely would love to kind of get your perspective, your take on developments like that.
Well, I think the first takeaway for the quote unquote average dealer is obviously the importance that the big boys, that the quote unquote smart money are placing on the used car market. I know a lot of times, our discussions are all focused around new car sales, and we lose sight of the fact that, there was 39.5 million used cars sold last year. That's almost, it is more than double what we did on the new car side. Well, the big boys have obviously embraced it. They're going after it. When you look at the strategic importance of the purchase, they obviously want their share. They want their chunk. They need to compete. And services like Vroom, like Carvana, like Shift, I have no doubt that they're going to command more and more of the market. They're obviously the way, a growing number of consumers want to, shop for cars. I have my reservations about, how many people are actually going to, buy the car, actually pull the trigger online. But these type of services combined with the digital retailing tools certainly provide a much better experience for shoppers. They help give shoppers the information they need. It helps give shoppers a sense of empowerment, that they know what they're doing. They can be confident in their selections. From a marketing and analytics standpoint, it certainly provides a wealth of, upgraded and enhanced data and leads that if a dealership or an organization combines that with, their in-store sales process, I think it's just going to be a win-win for all concerned.
You think this puts the crunch or any sort of disadvantage to some of the smaller independents?
In any industry, you're going to have to decide what you want to do. the advantage of being big is you've got muscle. I mean, you've got economies of scale. The advantages of being small are that you can be nimble and quick, but you have to wear a lot of hats and you've got to be very, very good at what you do. You know, we can go back in history and we can look at the Spanish Armada versus, you know, the English, and we know how that turned out. So if I was a smaller independent store, you have to decide, am I going to be happy in my little niche? Or do I really want to grow? Do I want to have one store? Do I want to have two? Do I want to have three? Do I want to have four? An awful lot of car dealerships are started by an individual who's very skilled, very knowledgeable, very passionate. The problem is what happens, you know, when it comes time for them to retire. You know, what is going to be the succession plan? And for a lot of these, you know, larger big boys, they go in and snap up, you know, the smaller, well-run dealerships. And, you know, that's how they're growing.
So when I think of mergers like this, I mean, Vroom, Shift, they're not household names yet. They're consumer names, but they're young, they're early. You know, will those names fade away? Or, you know, will a partnership, you know, with AutoNation, with Lithia, will it help those names grow? Those are the kinds of things that I'm curious about. What I'd like to do, Chip, I appreciate you sharing your insight on that because it is kind of news related. I'd like to shift over to really what prompted getting you up here today, which was the Genesis halftime show. For folks that might not be into football, Genesis partnered with Monday Night Football this year and ESPN. So ESPN has the rights this year to do Monday Night Football. And then there's a halftime show. And Genesis is the exclusive luxury marquee sponsor of the halftime show. And they have a series, they have different artists that they're making if you watch all the different videos, there's a theme. I think they're all black and white, but they've got a variety of artists. They had Boys to Men, Zach Brown, Ciara, Daughtry, Lil Wayne, which is the video I was playing when we got started here. And so you can catch those. Chip, I played the Lil Wayne video. I saw your comments about it. I agreed. Why don't you give us your take? What's your beef, or what's your concern about that particular artist and the Genesis brand?
Well, when you look at the Genesis brand, okay, what is the Genesis brand supposed to stand for? You know, what do they want to be associated with, and what kind of an impression, you know, do they want to have on current owners and potential buyers? Well, when you look at that video, it doesn't match. It's a complete disconnect from everything that they've done currently online. When you look at their website, they're going for a sophisticated, urban, you know, very classy sort of an image. And when you look at, you know, some guy in dreadlocks jumping around grabbing his crotch, okay, I don't see it. I mean, I understand, you know, music. I understand artists. Okay, personally, you know, one of my favorite artists is Five Finger Death Punch. But really, am I going to use Five Finger Death Punch with a lot of brands? And the answer is no. So while I can appreciate, you know, the art, I can appreciate the music, I can appreciate the sentiment and the energy, would I want to associate that with my brand if I were Genesis? No, I wouldn't. And when you take a look at the lyrics, to say that, you know, what that artist is singing about, what he's championing, none of that is what I want to have associated with my brand.
Well, let me interject you there. Obviously, it's not a single person's decision. There's a group, there's a committee. Typically, when decisions like this are made at that level, there's some data behind it. My thoughts are, while you, me, some of our viewers, people might say this is the wrong move for Genesis. Maybe from Genesis' point of view, this is they're confident this is going to help capture a market that maybe Mercedes-Benz and Lexus and some of the other luxury brands aren't going to tap into. Cadillac certainly aims for the hip hop market, probably more so. I think I saw a study that the Cadillac brand is mentioned more than any other car. Don't quote me on this, but I know it's up there more than any other car in music, and it's mentioned in hip hop music specifically.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that. When I watch the Cadillac ads, I think you'll notice that what they do is they'll use the hip hop music, or they'll use a hip hop, beat and hook, but they don't use the hip hop music videos. They're basically, trying to get the best of both worlds, in their TV spots. So, okay, I understand that. But if you also, take a look at the lyrics and what they're doing, it's certainly not anywhere near what Lil Wayne is doing.
Yeah, I mean, for one, it's kind of ironic, Nike. All right, they got rid of Tiger with his whole sex scandal with his mistress. Remember that? Tiger was like banished.
Oh, yes.
Michael Phelps banished, or got pulled out from
a long tote.
Yeah, exactly. But here, I mean, to your point, here's his lyrics. If she's iffy, down the drugs go. If she slip, lean, double cup toast, I got duffel full of hundos. I mean, I'm not going to say his lyrics online. It's just not. It's not appropriate here. I mean, I'm with you, man. The message is the lyrics are just they're just out there. But again, I think what we're seeing here is you have commercialism will disassociate from maybe acts or actions, but they'll be happy to associate of the entertainment aspect of it. Is it a double standard? Is it hypocrisy? It sounds like it.
I mean, when I've been agency side, all right, I've been in those meetings, and if the people out there, really knew what went on inside an agency, I think it would shock them. I personally loved, the show Mad Men. Well, I can tell you, it's worse than that. I have no doubt that given the lead times for these things, and given you're trying to reach eyeballs, and sometimes you can actually have a problem spending budget. It's to the point where if you don't spend the budget, then you don't get paid. So you have to spend the budget. And there's just times when you really run out of good things to spend the money on. And a lot of times you want to do things that are splashy, not necessarily for selling the product, but you want to do it for visibility back at the home factory to say, hey, look, we're on Monday Night Football, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're cool, we're hip, we're edgy. And did somebody actually take a look at the shows? Did they take a look at the content? No, I think a group of people got together and somebody said, hey, you want to sponsor the halftime show? We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And a lot of the details weren't in place. I mean, there's 19 weeks to the football season. I mean, not including playoffs. Did whoever produced those spots, did they have them all in the can and already done, for Genesis before somebody pulled the trigger? No. And a lot of times, with talent, with artists, what happens if, I don't know, maybe they had Carrie Underwood, scheduled to actually do that spot, but all of a sudden she has a problem. She can't make it. Now you've got to fill a void. So, I understand how it happens, but if I were the brand manager for Genesis, I would not be happy.
Be curious to get the sentiment of others. I was looking through some notes to see if anyone had any commentary on that. I know you had found some commentary, but yeah, it's peculiar. I think it's a double standard. I think it's hypocritical that brands would do that. They're basically willing to do whatever they have to do to get market share. It doesn't look bad for their brand, except for maybe someone like yourself that says, let me ask you this. If you were interested in the Genesis brand, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, would this deter you? Would you say, I don't want a Genesis now because of this?
Most definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I know a couple of people that just recently purchased a Genesis, and they absolutely do not fit that demographic. But again, that's not the only video that they've done either. They've got some country artists, some rock artists, and they've got a good variety in there. So they're just trying to hit all angles. And Lil Wayne is climaxed, and despite his message and his lyrics, they're going to go for it. Chip, hey, it goes quick, I know. Thank you much for being here. We're at the bottom of it,
right?
Yeah, definitely. And folks, Chip's going to be back with us. Possibly, we're trying to get a timeline out next week for one of our mastermind sessions. The masterminds are sessions we launched last month. There's a used car marketing strategies mastermind. Let me actually bring that up here on our site so you can check that out. Let me share my screen real quick. And folks, thanks again for tuning in to AutoConverse On Air. Ryan Girardi here with Chip Dorman, talking about Genesis halftime show and Lil Wayne's appearance. Also looked at a couple of news items in mobility. Real quick, so before I explain the masterminds, you can join us backstage here on Zoom, just like a conventional webinar, early and ahead of time. Just sign up here, go to shows, and look for AutoConverse On Air, enter your information. You also get inside scoop and information on things that we have going on in and around AutoConverse. Under Masterminds, if you go there, you'll see we have a used car marketing strategies, which we just posted a recent podcast on, auto shopper experience, advanced auto retail marketing. Each of those has a designated sign-up page. Each of them has a recurring event on Facebook, so you can sign up to get on the email list, and you can RSVP on the Facebook side of things. And if you want to come on and have conversations around these subject matters, we welcome you. Terry Lancaster is going to be on air with us next week, coming back on air. I don't even know what we're going to be covering, but we'll put something fun together. And Terry was recently featured on our Auto Shopper Experience Mastermind that I mentioned earlier today with Kathy Nesbitt. So yeah, there you go. Thanks again, everyone. I am going to wind the show down. So Chip, we can shut off our cameras, and you'll see Chip up here a little bit more frequently as well. Thanks again, Chip. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this week's AutoConverse Mobility and Connectivity broadcast. We will see you same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone.